Good afternoon, beautiful people. Welcome to the second episode in United Way Winnipeg Summit Series. We are so thrilled that you're here. Before we begin, we want to respectfully acknowledge we are on Treaty 1 territory, original land of the Cree, Ojibwe, Dene, and Dakota peoples, and homeland of the Métis Nation, where the original people of Turtle Island have gathered for as long as can be remembered. We also acknowledge the water we drink comes from Treaty 3 territory of Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, and our electricity comes from Treaty 5 territory. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and dedicate ourselves to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Now, if you tuned in to last episode, we wanted to let you know that things will look a little different this time. Manitoba's current COVID-19 Code Red restrictions mean that our guests will speak to us remotely. And there's only a small handful of us here in the studio, safely masked and socially distanced. All right, so we are grateful you are choosing to spend your lunch hour with us for this very important conversation about kids and families. This episode is made possible thanks to our sponsor, Assiniboine Credit Union. Thank you, ACU. I'm your host for this series, Natalie Bell, and just like you, I love Winnipeg. I write about it on my blog, Peg City Lovely, and I find ways to celebrate this city every single day. I've lived in a variety of neighborhoods in Winnipeg in my very early years, but I spent most of my life in Transcona. Our family consisted of my dad, my mom, my little sis, and me. I'd consider us a middle-class family, as my parents worked really hard to ensure that we could live a modest lifestyle with, recreational fun, extracurriculars, etc. However, my mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's very early in her 40s, and subsequently breast cancer, of which she passed 7 years ago. So we as a family, we had to seek numerous family supports and therapy programs to cope and to understand. I was also a single mom to both of my daughters in my early 20s. And while I had great immediate family support, I depended on several agencies to support me financially and emotionally as I raised them on my own. I am so blessed to have been able to access those supports, and I also know I worked really hard to create a better life for myself and my kids. But that's not the same for everyone. And that's why today's discussion is so critical to the health of our city. We need to help each other nurture our community's most valuable resource, because it really does take a village to raise a child. So, let's get going. First of all, what does family life look like for many of our neighbors? Well, right now, 18% of Winnipeggers and 22% of children are living in poverty. That's more than 37,000 kids whose moms and dads struggle to put sandwiches on their school lunches. Many people in our community need help with the basic needs at home. That brings us to our very first poll question. Pre-COVID, how many Winnipeggers turned to food banks every month? Is it 11,000, 27,000, 43,000, or 59,000? Please take a minute and answer on the pop-up. Thanks for your responses. The answer is 59,000 people every month needing help with putting food on the table, a comfort that many of us might take for granted. Does that number surprise you? Have you ever wondered, how do people find themselves in this situation? How does it happen? These are all great questions, and they're not always easy to ask or answer. Often it's misconceptions that create misunderstandings, but the way to understand each other is to know each other. So let's open up the conversation and ask those tough questions, because the answers will give us critical insight into family life through our neighbors' eyes. To help us out is United Way Winnipeg Summit co-chair Sana Mahboob and Cynthia Drebot of the North End Women's Centre. NEWC is one of 24 family resource centers around the city to receive sustained funding as part of the For Every Family initiative. And the work they do every day is magic. Let's learn more.
Hey everyone, I'm Sana, co-chair of the 2020 Summit Series. In this segment, we're going to explore some uncomfortable questions around family supports in our city. We have an expert from a United Way agency partner who will join us to answer these questions. Are we ready to dive in? Let's go. One question we have is, why are family resource centers such a big deal anyway?
So a resource center really provides an opportunity for people to come together, to find support and connection, and sit down, have a cup of coffee, and connect with people at a time when they need it. COVID has given another level to that as far as isolation and looking at how do people, where do people go when they feel isolated and when they feel alone. That feeling has always been there for people in certain situations, more than others. For a lot of the women and their children that come to the North End Women's Centre, isolation and a sense of needing to be with other people is often something that they are looking for. So they see that as a way of connecting. They see that as a point of healing. They see that as a way of furthering their journey of healing and working towards whatever it is that they have in their life as far as goals for themselves and their families.
So one of the questions that we have is, do people really need a family resource center for laundry and internet? Can't they just use their own?
For a lot of people that come to North End Women's Centre to use our services, they don't have their own laundry. There are not a lot of laundromats in the North End community, and if you're living in a place that doesn't have laundry, which many places don't, in apartments and in buildings that are affordable for people living in the area, they don't have those things. So they absolutely need access to laundry. And that these can be places where they can do that. Cell phones, most people that come to us don't have cell phones. They don't have them. They need a phone, not access to a cell phone. They just need access to a phone, in order to look for a job and, make phone calls and phone places back. We provide messaging services as well. So if people need to be able to look for work or they're making important appointments in their life, think of all the times you use a cell phone in a day or leave messages for people to call you or email you back about important things that keep your life moving along. When you don't have those things, where are you going to get it? So resource centers fill those gaps, provide an opportunity for people to have those things at a different place.
Cynthia, thank you so much. That was very eye-opening. Appreciate you joining us and for taking the time to answer our uncomfortable questions and for sharing your knowledge with us. Until next time.
Thank you so much, Cynthia and Sana. What a great message to remember that creating opportunity and nurturing potential is critical for every family. Okay, so as we learned, family resource centers are a network of safe and welcoming spaces where parents and youth can go to just be. Have a cup of coffee, chat, do laundry, file taxes, connect. And it's making a big difference in the community. Just how big of a difference? It's time for another poll question. How many people accessed essential programs and services at a family resource center last year? Is it 8,000, 17,000, 20,000, or 30,000? Great engagement. The answer is 30,000. 30,000 people helped at these centers in 1 year alone. Incredible. To learn more about For Every Family and its ongoing impact, we want you to meet Anne Mann. Anne is Chancellor of the University of Manitoba, my alma mater, as well as a writer of books that focus on personal stories from marginalized communities. Fun fact, she also moderated last year's talk with former First Lady Michelle Obama. Anne moved mountains and helped raise millions of dollars in donations to make For Every Family a reality, with the belief that creating community and support for families can help keep children out of government care. Also joining us is Rhonda Elias Penner, Executive Director of Thrive Community Support Circle. Rhonda sees firsthand all the wonders this program inspires. Welcome, Anne and Rhonda.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It's great to see you, Rhonda, and to be here together with you. I feel it's a real privilege for us to have this conversation and for me to be a part of that today.
Yeah.
I've had the good fortune of being at your Family Resource Center, Thrive, and seeing how welcoming it is, and also how bustling and busy it is because there are so many people coming and going and all kinds of action. I've been asked to share a few words about why Family Resource Centers matter to me. It's because they're accessible and essential, and they're grassroots in each community and neighborhood where each Family Resource Center sits. People can go down the street, they don't feel judged, they just feel welcomed. And the resource centers are often for families, although sometimes for individuals. But what can happen through these coffees and essential needs being met, there can also be the opportunity for programming and helping individuals and families get what they need to improve their lives. $15 million was raised from the Family Resource Center For Every Family initiative, and that money has been used by 23 resource centers. A fact that I think is really quite amazing is that this has enabled all Family Resource Centers to be open an average of 17 extra hours a week, which enables more access and more people to get what they need. Rhonda, can you tell us what has the impact been of the For Every Family initiative on your resource center at Thrive?
Yes, so prior to the For Every Family initiative, our resource center was open about 15 hours a week, staffed with 1.5 staff. And then part of that was 1 half day to allow for parenting programming. Once we received the support and funding through For Every Family, we were able to increase that. We hired 5 full-time staff and are open 30 to 40 hours per week, including some evening hours to accommodate some parents who were working during the day. That was a huge impact, and it increased the number of people that we were seeing from about 150 to 200 a month to upwards of 300 to 400 people a month. And since COVID, we are now seeing 650 to 700 people per month come in just to our resource center for things like programming, counseling, food kits, and also meals. We started, thanks to a collaboration with another partner in the area, we're now able to provide bagged lunches to people. And especially now during COVID, this is a huge, huge need to be able to come and get coffee and a snack and something, and to just check in. We have some transient clients who don't have family and don't have a place to call home. And they come in, and coming to get their coffee at the door every day is their way of letting us know that they're still around and that they're okay. Which is a huge, huge thing for some of our families. It's a safe space, and people know they can come there and get resources and supports.
So Rhonda, what's an average day like at Thrive? Tell us about it.
So the staff come in and open the center and put on the coffee and get out the snacks and prepare for people. Of course, with COVID right now, we're serving people at our door and in the warmer weather outside when we can. But typically these days we see about 50 to 100 people per day, which was up from about 25 per day pre-COVID. People come, as I said, to get something to eat, to get food kits, to get baby supplies, to get clothing for themselves or their children. Right now, with the cold weather coming, there's always that need. People need shoes and boots and mitts and those kinds of things. And so they're coming to do that and to really connect with us, connect with one another, get resources and information. Something as small as having an address to send their mail to that's safe. I think when we live in our homes and our neighborhoods, we don't realize how many people are victims of having their mailbox broken into and their mail stolen. And so in some cases, we provide our address for them to come and collect their mail. And something just simple as that is really huge.
It's amazing that things that seem so simple can be so fundamental. And then when you get people in the door and you get talking to them, you can also talk about programming and some things that once there's a buildup of trust, there's the chance to sort of expand the conversation. Can you think of a story, Rhonda, that anything like any people in particular that come by your family resource center that will sort of illustrate this for all of us?
Well, we have tons of stories, of course, but
I bet.
So some of our, some of the real progress that we've been able to make with the extra funding from For Every Family is really having enough opportunity to make those connections and expand on somebody's needs. So they might hear about getting free baby supplies, formula and diapers, and come to us for that. And that opportunity allows us to then look at what else they might need and let them know what we offer. And so whether it's parenting programs or mental health supports or ongoing free counseling, sometimes people come in certain situations, they've lost their job, they've lost their home. So they need those kinds of supports and really being able to do that. But one really significant situation that recently occurred was somebody was referred to us because thanks to, again, For Every Family funding, we have a financial empowerment program. And so we have somebody here that does taxes for free, as well as birth certificates and access to benefits. And that was made possible through a collaboration with SEED, Winnipeg and CFCS. And so that person was referred to us for his taxes. And so when he came in, he explained that his 15-month-old son had not yet received a child benefit check. And he was a single parent, and the child was born at Health Sciences Center. And so the father was going back and forth between the hospital and vital statistics to try to get his birth certificate name rectified so that he could get his child tax benefit check. And he had no luck, didn't really know where to go, who to call, got bounced back and forth. And so our staff who was doing the taxes was able to make some phone calls and also to talk to him and find out a little bit more about his situation. So given the fact that he learned that the child was born at Health Sciences and contacted Aboriginal Health Services, and miraculously through that one phone call, they were able to rectify the situation, get a call back from Vital Statistics, and the change for the birth certificate, it is in process, and they will be able to recoup that fund, that very critical funding for families who are struggling or living in poverty.
It's amazing, again, that something that seems so simple in daily life really isn't. And that the one-on-one contact that individual had at your resource center could make such an impact, a bottom line impact, not only in the finances and the setting up of the paperwork, but also just in probably that person really felt cared about as they sat together at a desk or a table trying to figure out how to solve this gentleman's problem. Mm-hmm. Switching to the pandemic, of course, we are all incredibly affected by it. But people who are living on the margins are even more affected. The pandemic, everything that's already happening in our world that's suffering or challenge doesn't stop for the pandemic. Can you fill us in on what's happening at your resource center and what you're seeing from your clients and your staff?
Well, in addition to the increased number of people suffering from food security and financial challenges, our food numbers have gone, as I said, from 300 a month to upwards of 700 a month. And our counseling, our need for counseling and mental health supports has more than doubled. We had one full-time counselor prior to COVID. We now have 2 full-time counselors and a part-time master's student, and their schedules are packed. We are now seeing, instead of 50 people a month, 120 people a month for counseling. Plus, we've added some mental health support programs and a lot of more crisis and walk-in. And so our families are really struggling, and we're seeing a significant amount of new clientele coming in. And it's not just people who were already living in poverty and living on the edge. We are seeing people that are being referred from all different parts of the city, all different walks of life, people that are working full time and have never accessed a food bank in their life, to now coming and asking for emergency food and clothing for their children, and themselves. It's been incredible, the impact that this has had, and looking at the long term, as well as the health of families. We're seeing, as I said, a lot more mental health challenges, anxiety, depression. We're starting online meditation programs, and, we're hoping, as the code red hopefully goes away very quickly, that we'll be able to offer in-person anxiety programming and mental health programming and men's and women's programs. It's been really huge. And the other big difference that we're seeing is, as the weather, in the summer, it was a little easier, serving people at the door, bringing tables out with food and lunches and clothing for people to come and just access. It's a little bit harder as the winter approaches. And with so many drop-in and resource centers closing and other shelters closing, it's going to be a real challenging winter. I can see that already, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm so sorry that the pandemic is making things so difficult for your clients, but I am really glad that Thrive is there and that they're finding your place, and I know they're being welcomed and supported when they come in the door. So I'd like to thank you, Rhonda, for all that you do, and your staff at Thrive for everything, all the caring and concern and that extra effort that they give. I'm sure some days are really challenging there, even for you guys as staff. And so thank you for all that you do. And thank you for your time today, for being here with us to just fill us in on what it's like at Thrive. Winnipeg is so fortunate to have Thrive and those 22 other resource centers.
Thank you.
Natalie, back to you.
Thanks, Anne and Rhonda. That was so great. Very informative. It's amazing how these donor-supported community living rooms really help everyone to thrive. All right, so we've learned about some of the challenges Winnipeg families face every day. And that was all before the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 has truly changed the landscape of our lives. People have lost jobs, some have lost homes, partners are worried about violence, kids are scared about school. Every member of the family is feeling these pressures. And that brings us to our last poll question. Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, what percentage of Canadians have had trouble meeting their financial obligations or essential needs, like rent, mortgage, bills, and groceries? Is it 5%, 20%, 30%, or 60%? Please use the pop-up to log your answer. Some high numbers there. The answer is 30%. Nearly 1 in 3 people across the country are struggling to make ends meet. And we're seeing that struggle right here at home with rising demands on our donor-supported agencies. At the North End Women's Centre, about 100 people a day come in for basic necessities. That's 3 times more than the centre usually sees. Mount Carmel Clinic has quadrupled their food provision and distribution. And the Main Street Project expanded its drop-in shelter to keep providing respite for people on the street while accommodating proper physical distancing. Thankfully, we live in a city where we rally when the going gets tough. And because of that, in this world of uncertainty, there is always hope. Take the Mama Wichita Center. When COVID-19 first hit, Mama Way rallied big time, creating and delivering 20,000 emergency food kits to those most in need. And today, Mama Way continues to do what they do best for the people who rely on them for everyday survival. So here we have Marion McKenzie and Tammy Christensen from Mama Way to explain more.
So we're here to talk a little bit about the Mama Wichita Center and our response to COVID-19 over the last 9 months. I can start by giving you a little bit of background about the organization. We actually are entering our 35th year. We're actually celebrating our 35th anniversary with the organization. And I think what I can share a little bit about is, so the Mama Wichita Center has been around for 35 years. We offer a wide variety of programs and services to support the Indigenous community in Winnipeg. So community is core to everything that we do, whether that's how we operate our centers. We do regular path sessions, really just getting their information of how we as an organization can meet their needs best. So we have multiple community care sites. We have multiple residential care homes for our young people, and just a wide variety of programs. So, back in January when we first started hearing about COVID, as an organization, we started thinking like, what's coming down the line and how are we going to best respond? And so come March, when it really started to become apparent that this was a pandemic and that it was, really highly contagious, we made a really unprecedented decision to close those community care sites, which, it's not something we've ever done before. But we still know there was value and there was a need for us to support community. And so how could we best do that? And one of the things we know people need is just the basic needs. People need to have their basic needs met. So we really, as an organization and within those 3 sites, really just shifted on a dime. One day we were closing the centers. I think on the following Monday, we had set up the emergency service response that we've been doing for the last 9 months. That really is targeted towards meeting those basic needs. So we really started off with just packing lunches every day for families. And it actually started here. This is actually the room that we had used, and then baby supplies and personal hygiene supplies.
As that need started to grow, the conversation started to grow, obviously, all across the board. And we had a lot of community organizations that we partnered with before, new people that heard our needs, that the community needed supplies. And we started having donations come in, which was huge. I think the other thing is it's really for us as an organization, we always knew there was a need for food for families. Food security is a huge concern that we as an organization try and address in everything that we do. And so for us, we started off this program and we started tracking all of our stats. And one thing that became very evident was the amount of children that we were feeding. So we know how many children are in each home. We know the age of each child in the home. And we know the family dynamic, if it's grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever is providing care for those families. And so now we went from initially about 500 hampers a week to very quickly going 500 lunch bags a day. And now we're in a position where we are providing about 1,500 food boxes for 1,500 school-age children, not to mention the lunch kits that we've continued to provide. So for us, I think the biggest outcome that we will continue to address even when this is over is the need for food and the need for food security in our community. And it's really, I talk to people and they ask questions like, oh my gosh, how many kids are you serving? And it really brings to light that, yes, we're very proud that we're the sorry, that we're the ones that are able to provide that service to community and making sure that children are not going unfed. But it also leads to a bigger concern that as a community and as a city that can do so much, that we still have this situation happening. So it's really, really important to us and very personal to us that we don't allow this to continue even after this pandemic, that we continue to address and find ways to meet find a solution. So,
I think our response is really grounded in our name. So the Mama Wichita Center translates to we all work together to help one another. And as an organization, the response was so quick and so immediate. And we see it, in those phone calls. They're not just checking off boxes, they're talking to people. They're spending 20 minutes on a phone call because someone just needs to talk to somebody because they're isolated. And they may have already been isolated, but now they're further isolated because of all the restrictions around the pandemic. So those conversations are happening. When our delivery drivers are going and delivering, it's a no-touch delivery, so they're leaving the box on the doorstep. But quite often, community members will come out and stand at the door just to have that interaction, have that conversation. We've heard that that's really a value to them.
As we've responded to COVID-19 and we've established this emergency response system, the only area that we really are struggling is with the increase of food requests comes the ability to get all this food to community. And that has truly been our struggle. When we started out, we had quite a few community members, call us up and they want to drive and they want to go and deliver a food hamper or a lunch bag or whatever it is. But as time has gone on, and obviously as numbers have grown, community that would normally volunteer for us have stayed away. And, we completely understand why that is. But we know there are still some organizations out there that are volunteering, and we really, really would love to have them volunteer with us. We can say we provide a very safe and secure setting for our own team. So we would continue to do that if someone came to volunteer. And truly it's the main task is to drive and maybe deliver a hamper to a family, to a school-age child that needs their food box for the week. So that is really our biggest need that we need right now.
Whew. I don't know about all of you, but that got me a little bit emotional. Just hearing about the children. Thank you, Marion and Tammy. I am so grateful that you shared your experience. Your message that community is to everything we do is so important to everything we do. It resonates very loudly with all of us today. I know for me, absolutely. So we know more about what we're doing to help each other, but what else can we do to help? According to reports, the number of Canadians feeling stressed regularly or all the time has more than doubled since the COVID-19 pandemic began. And that's probably not surprising to all of you listening today. What are some practical ways that we can help manage that stress in this strange and lonely time? How do we combat isolation and find connection in a world that wants us to stay away from each other as much as we can? Please welcome Jody Pescatelli and Kim Barber from Family Dynamics. Family Dynamics has been a part of the Winnipeg community since 1937 and offers in-home family support, parent coaching, counseling, childcare training, and so much more. Jody and Kim are part of the counseling program and are excited to share some tips for coping and ways that we can stay connected. Welcome, Jody and Kim.
Hi there. We're here today to share with you some wellness tips, ways that you can stay connected with those around you and to cope during this difficult time. Boosting your resilience is one way to stay well, and you can boost your resilience by doing things like staying connected with those around you, being proactive and looking at your own support networks, finding things in your life that bring you a sense of meaning, a sense of joy and purpose, And this could be connected to a project or a hobby that you might have. Sticking to your daily routines and really focusing on the things that you actually have control over right now. Engaging in self-care, things like exercise, practicing gratitudes, practicing relaxation exercises, mindfulness, breathing. My colleague Jody is here today with a short demonstration on a mindfulness practice.
Hello. Today we're just going to do a mindfulness activity that can be basically done anywhere at any place. So we invite folks watching just to engage with us in this mindfulness exercise that will hopefully help us to tune into our environment, our breath, as well as our bodies. So to begin, we're just going to sit comfortably, have your feet placed on the ground. We're just going to start with just a quick little check-in with ourselves. How are you feeling today? What do you notice about your body? Are you feeling tense? Or are you feeling rather relaxed today? Do you feel like your emotions are fairly steady? Or do you feel like they're kind of up and down today? Are your thoughts a little bit distracted? Or are you quite focused? And just in general, how is your awareness today? So we're just going to take a nice breath in and out together. On our next breath, we're just going to pay attention to our environment and the space we're in. So just look around or just notice where you are. Are you alone right now or are you with others? How's your lighting in your space? Is it rather bright or quite dim? Maybe you notice some smells in your space or perhaps the temperature of the room. We're just going to breathe in and out again. So we slowly kind of gain awareness of our environment. We're going to shift our focus a little bit to our breath and as well as our bodies. On our next breath in, I'm going to just invite everybody just to slowly roll your shoulders back with your breath. So we're just going to go ahead and breathe in, roll our shoulders back slowly, and just hold it there for a second. Pay attention to how your body feels at this moment. Slowly release and exhale. We're going to just repeat that one more time. Breathe in and roll your shoulders back. Again, paying attention to your body and how it feels to move this way. Hold for a second and release. On our next breath in, we're going to just shift our breath and we're going to imagine our breath going all the way down to the seat of our chair. So just breathe in, imagine your breath going all the way to the seat of your chair. Hold your breath for a second. Focus on the chair seat. Is it hard or is it soft? Exhale and release. Just repeat that one more time. Bring your breath in, imagining it going all the way down to the seat of your chair. Hold for a second. Just imagine the chair supporting your body. Exhale and release. On our next breath in, we're just going to say some kind words to ourselves in our minds by saying on our inhale, I am safe in this moment. Inhale, I am safe in this moment. And exhale. Repeat that one more time. Breathe in, I am safe in this moment, and exhale. Take a second just to move your fingers a little bit. Maybe move your toes. Stretch your neck if that feels good. And just do another little checkout with yourself. How are you feeling at this moment? Do you notice any differences in your body or in your thoughts, your emotions, or perhaps your awareness? Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the moment, non-judgmentally to our environment, to ourself, to our breath, to our emotions, and our thoughts. When we are present with ourselves, it leads and lends to be present and connected with others. Thank you.
Thanks, Jody. You know, social connection is so important to our mental well-being. When we talk with other people, share about our day, share about our feelings, share a laugh, it helps release stress. And when we're releasing stress, it's easier to cope with the day-to-day. Things are really hard right now for a lot of folks. People are feeling more stressed, more worried. There's a lot of unknowns and it can feel really scary. And we've lost our normal way to connect and relate to each other. It's not as easy to just get together with friends or family, go out, have people over to our home. And so we can feel more isolated and more disconnected. Connecting with people is not something we normally give a lot of thought to. It's just something that happens naturally, organically. But today, I'm giving you the invitation to be intentional and actually think about a plan for yourself of how you're going to stay connected to those in your life as we head into the winter months. Ask yourself this: who are the most important people that you'd like to stay connected with? Who would you like to connect more with? And of those relationships, which ones do you consider to be the healthiest of relationships for you? There are lots of ways that we can nurture existing relationships and build up connection with those around us. And it all starts by making it a priority. So it actually means setting aside time to make this happen. If things are busy or chaotic in your life, you might actually consider scheduling a check-in with those that you care about. And when you do check in, be present. So free from distractions or multitasking, is actually just be available to listen, available to share. And that's actually how connection happens, is when we're present. We have so many different ways that we can connect these days, more than we've ever had, with different apps and platforms that allow us to be virtually together, even though we're physically apart. And so if you haven't already, lean into that technology and use it to virtually have coffee with friends, watch a movie virtually together, have dinner, play games, things like that. If there's someone in your life that needs help navigating that technology, be willing to help them. If you know of someone in your life that's more isolated, reach out to them. Now is the time for that. You can also build connection in your life by joining an online community. So this could be something like a support group or a group that's focused on a hobby or an interest. And if you can't find one, start one with your own friends around something that is exciting to you or something you're interested in. Connect with your community. Go outside. Be in nature in your community. Talk to your neighbors. Volunteer your time. Acts of kindness are another way that we can feel more connected to those in our lives. And acts of kindness can mean many different things, like delivering a meal to the doorstep of someone you care about, or go old school and send a card or a note in the mail just because. Little things matter as well, like sending a text or making a call just to say hi. Any one of these things can help you feel more connected to those in your life right now. And so these are just some ideas that we've shared with you on how to stay connected and how to stay well at this time. Take care.
Thank you so much, Jody and Kim. I love the being intentional piece of things. All of you today are being intentional by being here with us. It's such good news to know that we're not alone in this, and it's great news to learn how to reach out and find community. We'd love to hear your good news too. What's helping you and your family stay connected right now? Please feel free to use the chat and share. And as you do that, here's a message from our sponsor, Assiniboine Credit Union, and a few more pieces of good news to lift our spirits.
Assiniboine Credit Union is a Manitoba-based financial cooperative that proudly serves over 125,000 member owners. Our business is financial services, but our purpose is so much more. Working across a triple bottom line, ACU helps to enable and contribute to sustainable communities for all. So community is always at the heart of everything Assiniboine Credit Union does on a day-to-day basis, and clearly we are experiencing unprecedented times at this moment, so that much more so we are very proud to be able to help and assist in any small way that we can, and that's what this initiative is all about.
So today, Assiniboine Credit Union brought in a bunch of bags of groceries for us. This helps us because we're able to put more product into the hampers for people in their community, and it's community partnerships like the Assiniboine Credit Union for the donation. Without the help, none of this would be happening, so it's incredible.
So IRCOM is the Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization of Manitoba. The ACU team coming in right now with these incredible donations of critical food, donations of diapers for our babies. It comes at a time in which we're not able to meet the needs. The needs so far surpass our capacity, but it's also a testament to who Assiniboine Credit Union is as a community leader and as someone who believes in a life of dignity for everyone.
Hi Winnipeg, welcome to Some Good News, taking grassroots stories from our community. Today, I'm talking to Abdu, who's an amazing young man working on a ton of great stuff, including fundraisers, a book that he's accomplished, and we talk about why he gets involved in all these great things. So I hope you enjoy.
My name is Abdurrahman Isman and I'm attending South Point School. My mom and some of her friends were discussing about like this charity, the Snowflake place, and we were gonna plan on doing a 100-kilometer bike ride, because it was becoming a good season for biking, and soon it was gonna get too cold for to bike, and I was already pretty good at biking, and so were the others, and yeah, we just kind of decided on that.
Why do you think it would be so great to do it for a place like Snowflake Place?
It's like it's protecting. I'm pretty big on like protecting young people's lives, and it was helping on that. It played a big role in that. Yep.
Do you think you'll go more kilometers next year?
I'm not sure. Yeah. 100 kilometers is a lot already. Yeah. I also got an award from the CBC Future 40. I also because I got and I also helped in a book. The title is called All Kinds of Minds. It's about accepting differences in people.
So you seem like you like to get involved in stuff like this, and so why do you think why do you think that is?
It's just I know that it's doing good for the community, and I've got like good feedback from it whenever I do stuff like this. And I always have my mom and my friends to push me when I have an idea.
Hi, my name is Megan and I'm a volunteer with United Way's Youth United program. Today, I'm at Miles MacDonnell Collegiate to share some good news about how a group of grade 12 students came together to give back to their community.
Hi, my name is Sion Vinyas.
Hi, my name is Grace Mahaber.
Hey, I'm Tarjini Patel. Hi, I'm Sydney Lane, and we are all grade 12 students at Miles MacDonnell Collegiate.
So we noticed there is a lack of support towards women in terms of hygienic products. So our group asked for donations from our teachers, students, and people in the community for things like makeup bags, shampoos, and conditioners, etc. We put together around 60 little care packages and donated them to a women and children's care shelter called Willow's Place.
Our goal was to help these women with products that they may not have access to easily.
Our original plan was to deliver our care packages in the month of May. However, the shelter had to stop accepting donations from around May to September, and therefore we had to wait until September to donate our packages. We are happy to know that the residents enjoyed our packages and that they arrived there safely.
I saw this project as an opportunity to give back to my community and to make a difference to those around me. Such a small act of kindness, such as donating an item or packing a package or even coming up with an idea, can make such a huge difference in someone's life. Our group just really wanted to share some joy and positivity to the women in our city, and I'm just really happy that I got to be a part of this.
Ah, that's so awesome. I love it. That was fabulous, everybody. It's so important to remind ourselves of the strength and successes that we have as we build a better Winnipeg together. Now, I'd love to share some good news in my own family life. I am going to be a grandma. I know, it's wild. My daughter's 22, and she is the same age I was when I told my parents about her. I'm still somewhat in shock that my firstborn is about to have her firstborn, but she's surrounded by a variety of family supports. But we also know that there will be some stress and challenges. But we're grateful knowing that we live in a community of people like you, a community who puts families first, supports each other, and wants every child to thrive. In that way, we're all a family too. So we learned last episode that United Way Winnipeg's 2020 volunteer campaign chair, Dave Angus, is part of my community, having grown up in Transcona. So welcome back, Dave, to the Summit Series.
Thank you, Natalie. It's great to be back. Great to have that Transcona connection back
Right?
again.
T-Kona represents all the time.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm jealous that you're a grandparent before I'm a grandparent. But
well, I mean, we're in the same city, and
Yes.
when it's safe to do so, I can bring the little one to you.
That's true.
I'm just
okay.
saying.
I will take you up on that for sure.
So, Dave, how important are family connections in your life?
It's everything, to be honest with you. And I grew up in Transcona. It was such a great place to grow up as family, but we just seemed to do everything as a family. We were involved in lots of different activities in the community, lots of family gatherings. I still remember some of the shenanigans that went on in those gatherings. But one of the other things that we did was we ran a family business. So we actually, both my parents, myself, my sister, and my brother worked in this business. It was a trophy business, which was a lot of fun. And it was a struggle as a business, but boy, we had a lot of fun. And I remember just some of the things you remember about my brother and I used to always play tricks on my dad, because he was the one that actually had to put together all the trophies. And we'd make up these orders that were just fiction. And so I remember one was the Bebop family reunion. We went and we had all these weird prizes, best haircut, and all these weird ones. And Billy Bebop won every single one of them. And we just stand back and look at my dad, just kind of try to figure out this order. But it's little things like that I remember so much that we shared as a family. And Natalie, I'd have to admit that I think sometimes I take it for granted in terms of the importance of family, but it's almost impossible to take it for granted right now.
Absolutely.
In terms of how important families are for all of us. We heard, this has been an amazing summit in terms of focusing on what families are going through. And I could just imagine the stress that some families are under, both in terms of trying to stay safe, some of the economic impacts that have fallen on families, access to basic needs, mental health issues, and just the loneliness and the seclusion that COVID has brought to all these families. I can't think of a more important time for us to talk about the importance of the family resource centers and the work that they do. And we had your speakers, it was Rhonda and Anne. Rhonda talked about how it's exponentially grown in terms of the impact on families and the families that they're seeing at their door. And Anne talked about kind of the trust that's so important in some of these organizations. And so we are lucky in this community to have such great heroes on the street in these family resource centers to provide the supports that we need. And I so much appreciated hearing the stories from Mom Away. The mindfulness was so...
Yes.
I have to do that every day, Natalie, for sure. But all of these techniques, but all of the focus on families right now is so important. And I'm just so thankful that we live in a community where families feel a sense of belonging, we hope, and that they feel that they're being supported. And when they need the help, that they can turn around and there will be a door for them to go through to get the help that they need. So I want to update you on the 2020 campaign.
Okay.
But I tell you
do it.
why this session is so important is it brings meaning to the dollars. So for all the donors out there, this is why you're donating. All these stories, all these people, all this help that's needed. And so I want to talk about the 2020 campaign, and it's been amazing. We talked at the beginning how companies are going to have to get creative with their workplace campaigns and rally. And boy, are they rallying around this year's campaign. And I'm just so proud of a lot of these organizations. So I just want to do some shout out. Skip the Dishes. Great local company held a virtual garage sale. We had garage sales in Transcona.
Oh, good ones too.
Good ones too, to sell extra office furniture and equipment. And they raised $100,000. Absolutely incredible. I think I raised $10 mostly on the garage sales, so a little bit different scale. College of Physicians and Surgeons in Manitoba held their first workplace campaign, very first workplace campaign, and one of their own staff shared a story about their experience as a big brother and big brother, big sister. And we're seeing that in some of these workplaces where staff are coming forward and saying, this is how a United Way agency helped me. The new Gen Next chapter, and good for the Gen Next, at PCL did collection drive during September and October, and then volunteered their time at Coats for Kids, a great United Way initiative. Good for PCL, great for the next generation. The James Richardson and Sons Group companies have been using friendly competition, and I remember this because I was talking to Windward Insurance, who had 100% participation, and it was James Richardson Sons Limited and Tundra Oil and Gas said, we're going to do the same thing, and they're all now in line for 100% participation for this campaign this year.
Amazing.
Our What's Next group, made up of retirees. Retirees are such an important part of the campaign. Have been giving back to the community with several volunteer activities, including taking part in the United Way Worldwide Day of Action. Bell MTS is holding 3 game shows for their employees on Zoom, including trivia, Pictionary, which I love, and virtual scavenger hunts. Good for Bell MTS. Have fun. To help strengthen our relationship with labor, this is really something. The Prairie region of the Canadian Labour Congress wrote a personal endorsement of the 2020 campaign. I can't think of a better time for that endorsement. Thank you for Labour. Great leadership in the local labor movement here in Manitoba. Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries donated 1,000, Halloween was tough for kids.
Yes.
Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries donated 1,000 Halloween-themed masks to 5 agency partners, so those kids can enjoy Halloween this year. The Public Health Agency of Canada, this is emotional. With all that they have on their plate right now, still having a campaign, held a book sale and raised $1,200 for their campaign this year.
Wow.
Good for them. MLT Aikens held a fun event for their employees using the online platform Jackbox Games. I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah.
But imagine, Natalie, a virtual room filled with lawyers, paralegals, and other staff getting competitive against trivia. I'm sure some lawsuits came out of that
I was
one.
just going to say.
But good for MLT Aikens. And we have a new GOAT.
Oh.
Greatest of all time. The team at Birchwood, setting another high bar for this campaign, have achieved a record 186 leadership donors. Wow. 186 leadership donors, the highest ever by any company in the history of United Way Winnipeg. Could not be more proud of Birchwood. So there's just so many workplaces, so many volunteers. Our theme this year is Let's Rally to Recover. And boy, is our community rallying around this campaign, and we're seeing it workplace by workplace by workplace. We have a long way to go, but I'm so happy to share with you today, Natalie, and all of our viewers, that as of today, the campaign has raised $12.5 million. What an amazing job for Winnipeg. We're on a very positive track, but we have a long way to go. And I'm just so proud of my community right now. So Natalie, thank you for having me on today's show. Thanks to all the viewers, and let's keep it going.
Yes, thank you, Dave. That is spectacular what our Winnipeg organizations are doing. I'm so grateful that I live here. I really am. Thank you, everybody. It's been so uplifting to hear about all the work you're all doing to support Winnipeg. The steps we take today will have such a positive impact on families now and in future generations. Thank you again for making time this afternoon. Thanks to Assiniboine Credit Union for sponsoring this episode, and of course to Dufresne Furniture and Appliances for creating our very own beautiful community living room. Lastly, thanks to all of our speakers, Anne, Rhonda, Tammy, Jody, Kim, Dave. If you or someone you know would like to learn more about family services in Manitoba, please call 211 or visit mb.211.ca. Now, before we go, don't forget to check your PayWorks Pay It Forward bingo card. Use your card throughout the series, and anyone who calls bingo could win a donation to United Way Winnipeg, compliments of PayWorks, and you get to choose which priority area to support. Another great place to keep this conversation going is on LinkedIn with the Gen Next Winnipeg group. Please be sure to check it out and connect with each other. You'll be glad you did. Finally, we have one more question for you. Earlier in the episode, Cynthia Drebot gave us some reasons why it's critical family resource centers are within walking distance of people's homes. What is one of those reasons? Put your answers in the chat now, and the first 5 people to respond will receive a gift card for a local Winnipeg business. Thank you again for tuning in. We hope you feel empowered by what you've learned today, excited to share the knowledge, and motivated to stay connected.